I was going to replace these consumer factories with something else, wasn't I? One of the things that this place needs is jobs, so I think we're just going to get more clerks. Commercial zone. Oh, gene clinics was another thing I did want to get. Where are they? Commercial zone. There it is. And I'd also like to situate the alloy factory somewhere else. Maybe on Sergei. Sergei is going to be good for mining. So I think Sergei Prime might become my industrial heartland.
Upscaling complete. Future market survey complete.
Let's just take a quick look at the piracy stats. Current piracy 0.75. That's what I like to see. So yes, it looks like your suppression needs to be the equivalent or higher than the max piracy. And we're doing a very good job of suppressing it everywhere. I need to keep an eye on the max piracy here, 13. Remember my suppression is... Oh, we've got a problem here. So we need to get some suppression going on these provinces. In fact, Astarte is there. We just need suppression up here in the north. And also down there in the south. Maybe coming down here. Especially as Sergei starts to build up, there's going to be more trade flowing through this zone. So I think I might set up another 2-corvette suppression system here, and a 2-corvette suppression system here. And those can be done in Sargass. They can just be cheap-ass regulars. And the other thing I want to do is I'm going to get rid of the auto-upgrade. These. Because they annoy me. Should also upgrade the platform, that's true. In fact, it's quite likely that we'll be coming up against bigger ships. So we should probably do that. Although, actually... Range 60. Range 60. I'm wondering if we want to put mining drone lasers on the platform. Because remember, there's no shields here. So it's only going to be armor and hull. And if we do a little bit of extra damage to the armor, then we can kill ships very quickly. Or even plasma throwers. You know what's plasma throwers we need? Extra armor damage, extra hull damage. Plasma throwers here would be deadly. I like it. I don't think we've actually built any Sargass platforms yet, but if we did, they would be really strong. Protection must be equal to the strength of the trade value going through the system to prevent piracy. That's not true, because there's a hell of a lot more trade coming through here than we are protecting against. So trade route value is 150. We are currently have 70 suppression. Wait, 70? Why are you so big? You've built extra ships without needing to. In that case, sorry, bear with me. I can cancel 2 of the corvettes that I just built because I'll just take them out of this fleet. You can come up here to Larsman. And you are going to be called TP3. I call them TP so I don't try to merge them in with other fleets when I'm at war. So what was I saying? Suppression, right. So yes, we can see here from the trade route value 150, we have 50 suppression coming through, and yet piracy effects are at 0. So long as the suppression is higher than the max piracy, that's the level you need to hit. You can get more protection from hangars and guns on starbases, which reduces the amount of money that pirates can steal, and therefore the max piracy. That is true. However, as I've said a few times, I am trying to get the off-world trading companies, which means that trade hubs then generate trade value themselves. I have a lot of trade value modifiers, so I want to be relying as heavily as possible on the money made from trade value. So my star bases are actually going to be producing trade value themselves rather than protecting it. Then I'm going to be using corvettes, which are cheap, to patrol the trade routes to get rid of the piracy. And the reason I'm doing that is because corvettes are cheap. I can use some of the money I'm making from the massive amounts of trade value to pay for it. Do defense platforms reduce piracy? That's a good question. No. Because if they did, it would look like this, where it says protection range +1, trade protection +5. Or in the hangar bays thing, it would be +10. And we do have some hangar bays here in the north for that reason. Like, I think that Poet's doing that. Someone was. Yeah, Larsman has a hangar, because I was hoping to just completely offset the amount of trade that Wue would get, but now I'm just going to use corvettes instead. It's going to be cheaper in the long term. Less defensible, but that doesn't matter because I'm so isolated that as long as I'm protecting this one choke point, that's the only way that bad guys can get to me. Because I don't actually have a border with the Barrack Unity. They'd have to go all the way around here, which is passing a xenophobic Fallen Empire, or through the Marauders, which are protecting this entrance. And I just keep on paying off the Marauders whenever they decide they try to do something. Deep within a crevice of the giant asteroid of DTLF-234, we have found something astonishing. There is a mining gear attached to the rock, digging itself into the vast depths of the asteroid. It stands abandoned with no sign of who placed it there. If we can stop the machines, we might be able to learn something about the technology used to build it, but we must hurry before the random debris crushes it. Or we can just get the minerals. Stop it. No, 25. Where are you? I thought that created a... Did. Oh, it requires a construction ship. Oh, that can be arranged. Which of my construction ships is closer? And we do have some other missions available. Nostria has some debris. Right, from the pirates that we killed. There are some places I need to search for that mission, but we'll get to it at some point.
Special project actualized.
Void Raiders encountered. We've made first contact with the Amasera Void Riders, a nomadic civilization. They occupy a number of large space stations in and around Umik that house the bulk of their massive numbers in crowded, squalid conditions. Oh, so that was another marauder.
Outsiders, we are the Umasera. Unlike the civilized star nations of the galaxy, we have no single master to lord over us, but I have been chosen to convey the message to you on behalf of the other houses. Do not try to impose your soft and effete ways upon us. You may freely send your alien ships into Emissary territory, but do not expect them to return. Our warriors will welcome the diversion, however.
Alright, so that is another Marauder group. They're basically next to each other. Can I pay you to go and raid them? Because that'd be kind of hilarious. Ah, they're already raiding someone. And nope, they must be a rival for me to do that. After more, did I see that you're a black hole today? You are more than just a black hole. You are a starbase protecting a black hole and an L-gate. You know what would be cool if you had the ability for you to set up ships as pirates and perform raiding on your rivals. Yeah, that would have been really nice, and this system seems to be set up for that. I wonder if that's something they're going to be adding in the future. Because it definitely seems to be set up for that, because you do have the flow of trade material, and if you could set up independent privateers, then yes, that would be awesome. There are... Do defense platforms reduce piracy? Not the defense platforms, but the gun upgrades do. I may have answered that one already. There are actually two ways to do that. First is a normal Empire Civic that lets you raid rivals to pops and resources. The second is an Ascension perk that does the same thing. There are also Marauders who... yeah, but what KT means is specifically going after the trade value, which is flowing. Like privateers in EU4. Or protecting trade in EU4. But against other civilizations, not just in your own. Since guns, hangar bays also increase the protection range by +1, would it be an option to build a combat starbase with 6 hangar bays between your trade posts and cover them that way? Yes. But again, I would much rather have more trade value and then protect that trade value with ships, because they're cheaper. Have I checked out if anything's offered in the slave market? No, and I don't think any of the AI is actually slavers anymore. The authoritarians changed to egalitarians. Hopefully this one-off capital transfer to MordCorp Inc. does not get incepted by the Pirates and the Marauders. Thank you so much for that, Super Reiska. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Cyan's also sending me some bits. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys. Don't they cost alloys as upkeep? Corvettes cost barely anything. They're really cheap. Right, what the hell was I doing? You're one of the fleets which is going to be protecting up there. I'm actually going to wait. No, I'm not. You're going to go up here because that's already accruing piracy. And I do not want that to hit the maximum because bad things tend to happen at that point.
Upscaling complete.
And that's both of the... In fact, screw it. Just merge together. That did not take you very long to build. It's not going to take you very long to merge. And then when you do, we can send you up there, set you up on a trade route.
Research actualized.
Or protection route. And then all is good with the world once again. So you go to Sergei. You're going to be protecting Sergei and Larsman. Then TP3 is apparently doing that already. So actually you are going down to Poet. And you're going to be protecting over there. And I also need to call you TP4. Okay.
Upscaling complete.
Power is running very low, but that's because I just spent a bunch. Once I have these pirate issues sorted out, that should recover. Cruisers! Hello! Yeah, I want cruisers. And also, we're building more commercial zones and things, which will also sort out the cash, so I'm not worried about the energy, that will recover. Those are mining drones, but they are quite a lot stronger. Has Bacon Killer had a chance to upgrade yet? Nope. Ooh, another... Aha! The final harmony. While in a defensive war with another empire, ship build speed is increased by 33%. In addition, ship fire rate is increased by 15%. And gives me another ascension perk. So we could get enigmatic engineering, which is sensor range +2, ship hyperlane detection +4. Our technology and engineering is too arcane for others to reverse engineer. That's interesting. That means that they can't research debris. Starbase influence cost, claim influence cost. Frankly, influence is not a problem. Starbase capacity +5 would be nice. We would have 14 starbases, which is about as many systems as we have. If we had that, there would only be 8 systems that would not have a starbase. One vision would be unity and ethics attraction. Hasn't been a problem. Mastery of nature permanently increases the number of districts. Mastery of nature is definitely one that we want in the future, I think. Just not yet. Because none of our planets are full, and they're not even close to being full. Edict duration hasn't been a problem. Leader level cap +2. That does sound very tempting. And then branch office cost reduced, and also commercial packs no longer cost influence. Again, influence has not been a problem. I might go for the transcendent learning. I do like having high level leaders, and because we have harmony, my leaders do live longer. Enigmatic is better for multiplayer. I found the AI doesn't generally do much with the debris. Yeah, that's what I was kind of assuming. I'm going to go transcendent learning. I haven't hit the max districts anywhere, no. And in fact, speaking of mass districts, I need to build another farming district here. To keep my farming production positive. I mean, you're generally doing a pretty good job of that, so I'm not concerned. Colony ship is done. Aha! And with you... You are good on desert, arid, and savanna. Which is what I was hoping. Arid, 11. Savanna, 10. In fact, better yet would be to use the expansion planner. Arid 11. Arid 20. Ooh. Is that in my borders? It's here. We would need to expand a little bit to get that, but that's very tempting. That would also put me very close to Igashin. It's going to put me further and further over my empire size limit, though. And these penalties are racking up, and I still haven't seen any other way of reducing that. Though actually, one of these I think does it. Pretty sure one of these gives admin or empire size, whatever it's called. Also, there are a bunch more megastructures now. They added some more in this update. Strategic coordination, matter decompressor, mega art installation, interstellar assembly. And there's our ecology project, which allows you to build ecumenopolises. Immigration. Oh yeah, xenocompatibility means that you can have more half-breeds. Trade protection is what TP means, not toilet paper. Oh god, that was a terrible one, Yutari. TP for the black hole, really? How does using ships to cover trade? Do you set up the route or they cover an area in the system we're in? I'll show you that in a minute, Fred. Executive Vigor is also really good later on. It also accounts for Unity ambitions, can be further increased with endgame tech. Imperial prerogative, probably. Please tell me that's not one I missed. Nope, it just doesn't exist. The one I thought it might have been was the Starbase capacity, Grasp the Void, but it's not. Imperial Prerogative I think you can only do if you're an Empire, which we're not. Well, in that case, we need to find a way of increasing our size limit. I feel like Domination allows you to do that. That's Influence. That's one merchant job per 50 pops. But again, is this Empire 50 pops or planetary 50 pops? So if it's planetary, then that's really far away still. Is it Supremacy that allows you? That's more Starbase capacity and War Doctrines. Ship build cost, upkeep, capacity, command limit, fire rate, Starbase damage and upgrade cost. Is it Diplomacy? Pop growth from immigration increases and Diplo influence cost reduced by 50. Form Federation, Federation naval capacity, trade value, market fee reduced. I would actually have a market fee reduction of 20% with that. I don't think it's Discovery. Although Discovery would allow me to get even more leader levels. Like, this is a decision I'll need to make. Whether I want to continue down the prosperity line or unlock one of the others. Because at the moment I can get level 7 leaders. But that's mostly because of my ruler. I can get level 8. But level 7 is my usual max. With Discovery that would go up to 8? Yeah. Right, Fred. You can now patrol systems. So every fleet has a suppression amount. So the piracy suppression of my TP2s is 20, which means that we can suppress piracy up to a maximum of 20 piracy. I'll explain that a little bit better in a moment. You can then use this new button up here, which is patrol, to patrol between an area. So in fact, a better example would be... In fact, these guys are doing it already. So you can see this is kind of highlighted. That's because TP2 is currently patrolling between Sargass and Astarte. And every province that they pass through, they reduce the accumulated piracy. So if you go into the trade route overview and then hover over the skull, you can see how much piracy there is present. There's a max piracy of 13, so you need a suppression of 13 to reduce the piracy here. Every time a patrolling fleet, or any fleet, passes through the distal system, the current piracy will drop. So the current piracy will tick up slowly until it hits the maximum. And every time a fleet passes through it, the current piracy drops back down to 0. And I think if it hits the maximum, then you have a chance of spawning pirates, which we've had happen twice, because I haven't been paying much attention. The other way of reducing the max piracy is by building up your base protection. So right now we have Larsman, which is providing plus 18 protection plus the base protection of plus 2, which means 20 of the 52 trade value passing through this realm can never be pirated. It's always protected. So trade protection is generated by Starbase upgrades. So a hangar provides plus 10, a missile battery or a gun battery adds plus 5. So having lots of hangars means that you can have a very solid high base protection level, but it's more expensive and it uses Starbase slots. And yeah, the smaller your ships, the more suppression they provide. So corvettes are very good at suppressing piracy with a suppression level of plus 10 each. I suspect destroyers are probably a 5. I can actually just double check that. I have not seen that yet. So my 4 destroyers are doing 26, which with a bit of rapid maths is like 6.5. Because 2 destroyers would be 13. 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. What happens is 2 starbases collect trade from the same systems due to increased range. I think it just goes to one of them. I don't know which one takes priority in terms of protection, though. I was still in the process of trying to send out the colony ship. I never did do that. Alright, I keep getting distracted. Stupid distractions. Expansion planner. Distance. Right, because I need a construction ship to start paving the way towards Bithia. Bithia has 2 arid... This is perfect. Bithia is a really good choice. Right, because I got distracted because I was looking at ways of increasing the Empire range thing. So this is going to add 2, 4, 2 more planets. Is going to add another 2, so that's 6, 8. So we're going to be at 105 Empire size if we expand out to here. Plus more for all the districts that we're going to be building. Worth it. It's 2 more freaking planets. Let's do it. Build me a starbase. Build me a starbase. And I also want to double check my edicts to see if there are any edicts that I could be doing to improve things even further. Oh, you can use... Yeah, okay. So strategic resources can also be used for policies, which I hadn't checked yet. Because I've never had surplus strategic resources, but now I do actually have some exotic gases. So you can use exotic gases for 6 months, no, 12 years. So a 10-year base modified by my ruler to 12 years, 6 months, which would increase sublight speeds by plus 15 or plus 25% more shield hit points. So using that shield boost for 12 years would be huge during a war. Volatile ammunition from the volatile gases adds 25% more kinetic weapon damage, explosives more explosive weapon damage, and plus 25% armor hit points if you have volatile gases. If you have crystals, you can get energy weapon damage plus 25%, although they are fairly expensive, and I think the prices do go up over time, depending probably on the size of your fleet. Extensive sensor searches was the sensor base that I discovered. And there's also crystalline sensors, which increases sensor range by 1, and then land clearance, which reduces blocker cost and time by 25%, but it does cost you 49 thingies. Diplomatic grants increases the rate that growth goes up, and also trade attractiveness. That means you're more likely to get your trades through. Land of opportunity is more immigration. We do now have migration pacts, so we could get more immigration from that. I think once we have established Bithia's colonies, plural, we probably want to do that because we want to start pulling the people away from the desert worlds. Happiness plus 10. Peace festivals, just bonus happiness for 12 years. And farming subsidies increases food production. At the moment, food production is not a problem. I'm going to go for the bonus happiness because, hell, that's a hefty bonus. Happiness translates into more productivity. Happiness, 86%. How exactly does that go? No, it doesn't. What does happiness do? Stability. But the stability is calculated from the approval rating, which is calculated from happiness. That's what it is. So we have 75% stability in Kelderland, which is increasing productivity by 18%. All resources are improved by 18%. Actually, Kelderland doesn't do many resources, but trade value is also boosted by 18%, and Kelderland does a lot of trade value. Yes. What happened to the arid world with the sensor range? I think that was one of the Bithia ones. Or was it this one? No, I think it was Bithia. So one of these worlds does have the sensor range. Oh. Zolkor swarms are native to the dry canyons of Bithia too. I should probably try to fix that before we move in. Do I have a free science ship? No. Larsman is my anomaly research. You're going to Nostria to get the debris. And you are currently surveying. I don't really want to interrupt you, although you would be the closest. You know what? Go ahead. Research those projects, then get back to surveying. Fine. Meanwhile, my alloy supply just keeps on going down. I need more alloy factories. It's reached that time. And that corporate culture site will need to be rebuilt soon. TM. Okay, so with all that stuff happening, I think I'm going to send the colony ship out towards Bithia. We'll just leave you parked there. That'll be fine. And on that note, I think I'm going to end this stream. So thank you everyone for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed this. Actually, let me just go through the chat and then we'll do that. Do. Is there a sector map mode we can see which future planets will be assigned which future sectors? No, and that's one thing I'm not particularly happy about. I actually kind of liked sectors as they worked before. There was more that could be done with them, but they've massively oversimplified it. There is the sectors map mode, but it only shows you what you have already, not what will be in them in the future. So I have 2 sectors, Ross Prime and Kelderland, and it's these 2. Oh no, I have 3. I have Sergei as well up here. But like, which sector these will be in? Who knows? And I kind of dislike this. I do wish their sectors worked more like vassals in CK2. You can assign more planets and more systems to a sector, but then that sector will get more like Independence want. And that's one way of breaking down empires in the late game. And I really hope they do that, because I think it would be really interesting trying to juggle relations with your sector governors. They could have an entire internal vassal system based on that, which would also give another reason for another tradition line, which could be internal politics shifting. And also, that could also tie into the faction, so a sector could probably work as a faction if they wanted to borrow those mechanics. There's a lot of things they could have done. I'm not particularly happy with how they've done this. I think it's massively oversimplified, and I have not looked at the sector thing once. The one thing that's nice about sectors is the planets in a sector share the same governor. It just reduces the number of leaders in play, but I like having a lot of leaders. So again, yeah, could have done better. Looks like Paradox is really trying to limit expansion. Earlier you could pull all systems to the sectors, but now it seems there's no way to work around the cap. No, not really. But I kind of like that. It's a soft cap. You can go over it if you want, and I am doing so, but it's a cost versus reward, cost versus benefit system. And it pays off more for non-corporate entities to go over the cap. Corporate entities, I think, need to be a lot more careful about going up to the cap, but their cap is bigger. It's just noticeable how they try to limit expansion in various games, E4 Corruption, and now this in Stellaris. Yeah, it's all anti-snowballing mechanisms, which I don't have a problem with. I like anti-snowballing. Snowballing is freaking boring. Going through chat still. I hope that Diplo DLC adds more internal and external politics. Yes, so do I. And they already know from CK2 that people like vassal systems and the interactions that you can have with other characters, and I think that that would be a good, albeit limited, direction that Stellaris could go. I don't think they want to go all the way into having relations with every single leader, for example. I think that would get overwhelming quickly, but with sector governors, yes, I think that's feasible and doable. And maybe every sector has a certain empire limit that they add, so if you do have a more decentralized nation, then you can have a bigger empire, but you also have more risk of uprisings and revolts and independence movements. That's the way I would approach it. Anyway, as I was saying, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, then please do hit that follow button to get notifications when I'm live again in the future. I will be back again in an hour. I'll be kicking off some more Stellaris at 7. I'm not going to be doing Total War Warhammer because this is still preview and I get to play this. And I'm kind of enjoying showing all this stuff off to you guys. Not to mention... almost said stuff that I probably shouldn't. So, do hope you'll join me again in an hour-ish. I'm going to need to prepare some food for myself. If you have really enjoyed this, then do consider subscribing. It helps the channel out. Or check out my Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com/MordredViking. I do also have a YouTube channel, which you can find at youtube.com/MordredViking, which is at this link here. And the Patreon is here. And then finally I have a Discord, which is where I hang out. That's where the community hangs out. That's where I hang out. Talk a lot about games. So it's always lovely for other people to come join us, so do so. That's going to be it for me for now. I will see you guys in an hour. See you then. Bye, everyone.